Hey guys, what's up? It's Lizzie Jane. We are back. I am so excited for this season of the podcast. We're doing in person, we're doing remote, we're doing live festival activations, and so much more. So if you're here and you're a first time listener, welcome. This is a safe space for your favorite artists, agents, managers, label heads, and anyone who works in the music industry to talk transparently about what they do, to talk about music, to talk about not music things, to talk about how they got in their position, the journey, the failures, the W's, and everything in between. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back. You guys freaking rock. And thank you for helping me get to a place where the podcast is what it is. I really couldn't do it without you guys. For real. I would not be doing it without you guys. So thank you so much for listening to every episode, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify or Apple or Google Podcast. It is there. And we are kicking this season off strong. I have Micah Martin joining me today. He is a phenomenal artist, a phenomenal vocalist within the electronic dance music scene. We both come from metalhead, rock, heavy backgrounds. We both just launched our shows on Insomniac Radio's new huge rebrand. We can be found on the Impact Channel 3. He has shows multiple times a week. I have shows multiple times a week, Monday through Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. That would be 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time and 5 to 6 p.m. Mountain time. I am spinning melodic bass, drum and bass anthems, and my favorite up and coming acts in the electronic music scene. He happens to be one of them, actually. And he is known for his voice on some of your favorite, most iconic electronic songs, whether he's working with Zomboy or he's working in the hard dance lane. He just put out a single with PhaseOne, and he, little birdie, told me that he is really starting to focus on his own project in 2025 and 2026 and is going to be releasing a ton of solo work, which makes me so excited for the future for Micah. So let's just hop into it. If you guys are here and you love what I'm doing with the podcast, please share it. We spread organically. I spread through the love of people listening to learn more about what we do and speaking transparently. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your dad, because we are not going anywhere. And if you didn't hear, I did just launch my show on Insomniac on their Impact channel, melodic bass bangers, drum and bass anthems, every Monday through Saturday, 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. This is the Lizzie Jane podcast, and you are tuning in to the first episode of season 3 with special guest Micah Martin. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Hello, Lizzie Jane.
Hello.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Of course. How's life going? We're fresh off at EDC Las Vegas. You did some hosting work for Insomniac Radio. You had your songs being played on the stages. Was it a very cool, like, full circle moment this year?
Oh, yeah. So this was only my second EDC. Last year was my first year, and I kind of made that promise, to yourself, you won't go until you play. Mm-hmm. And I had about like 6 or 7 different artists that were playing last year. So I was jumping around on 4 different stages.
Yeah.
So last year was super magical, but coming back this year and being able to say that I was working, that was something else. And being able to interview all those artists and stuff, it was super fun. I absolutely loved it. But yeah, it was super magical, and I was really happy to be there.
Oh yeah. It seemed like it's a chaotic weekend, because I did exactly what you did last year. And it's one of those things where last year was also my first EDC. I'm so much in the same mindset. I don't know if something clicks in your artist journey, or if some people just have it in their head from the beginning that I'm not going to go to X event, X, Y, and Z until I'm playing, or my music is on those stages, or da 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 da. And then through a very unconventional way of doing stuff for Insomniac Radio, I was like, man, this is fucking it. And then through that, I was able to do a set kind of program, kind of like the Forest Art Car, but with Bass Rush on that Meta Phoenix stage. And it was like Culture Shock and Ghost from Real Life and Slippy. And it was a really, really cool fucking lineup. And it it was wild seeing like the contrast of being there and being on that immediate team of like you guys have the powwows at the beginning of the day, you're out there in the Vegas sun, it's 110 degrees, but then you're sitting down with like literally the largest names in dance music. And I think it's really cool as well because not all of the hosts I think can say this. When you see an artist make the connection of, hey, I'm going over here for an interview, but it's so nice to see you, and then you go, no, I'm the one interviewing you, and they just like light up. What was some of your favorite moments throughout the weekend sitting down with them?
Honestly, I really did like interviewing Nightmare. It was my first interview ever with Lumberjack helped me out too. It was awesome. I got to sit there and talk to him. I talked to Ben Nicky and Darren Styles. That was awesome too. Sat down with Dual Damage. Yeah, it was quite the gauntlet of experiences. Just being able to like when they're like hit the little and they're like action go. You just gotta like lock in and be like, hey, what's up? It's some people actually like freeze in that moment. So being not freezing was dope. And being able to actually execute the interviews how I wanted to, it was pretty awesome. Yeah, it's so weird being there as like an employee, but like it's not really a job if you love what you do. So
100%. Oh my God. I was talking about this the other day where I feel like honestly, anyone in this for the financial back end is so in the wrong industry and in it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
And to be able to like one, pursue your passion as a career and make any money whatsoever is such a privilege and such like a cool piece of life that so many people don't ever get to really do. And then on top of it, finding other ways in dance music, like doing the broadcast stuff, like, working on the Insomniac team, which is like honestly like the winning fucking team, and do that for shit where you're able to meet more people, make more connections, make a daily fee. Like you couldn't ask for anything better than that because I feel like throughout my years, and I've seen this like on your journey and your career path too, like not having a tunnel vision of what you expect things to be like and being open to all of these opportunities lead to like the same destination.
Yeah, that's very true. I agree with that. And it's just to touch on that, like like I said, when I gave my speech at the dinner, I was like, this is an opportunity or a career path I've never considered in my life. And when presented the opportunity, I was just excited to see where this goes. I found a new passion for something. Now I'm actually like, I'm really listening to music now. Like I'm digging and trying to find as many cool songs. And I got the homies sending me songs like, yo, put this on the radio. And some of it's really good and it's already in our database. And I'm just like, dude, yeah, I'm throwing that on my show next, 2 days from now. So it's really nice. It's such a cool opportunity to have. And now it's like all of a sudden, like we just became the plug. Like out of nowhere. It's funny.
We're the messenger. Like we are like the total programmer, crate digger, and everyone wants their shit to be played on Insomniac. Like it's like a simple fact. It's like when I started as an artist, it was how do I get this in the hands of whoever's programming this radio show? And never in a million fucking years was I like, oh, it's gonna be me. Like,
it's gonna be my show on
and
that
now you're
radio.
gonna do your own music too. You know what I'm saying? Like it is literally such like a beneficial point, not only in like helping building relationships. I'm finding so much shit that like I'm like, this is going in this set, this is going in this guest mix.
Right.
And then I'm becoming fans of new artists that I didn't know existed because now I have people hitting me up. They're like, hey, I saw you're like a host and you're also a producer and like we would love you to play this. And then it opens that window to a whole new like professional relationship with a really like dope artist potentially.
Yeah, exactly. Like just to touch on that, I was leaving the main stage, and I just saw Bobby Shmurda just chilling. And I was like, yo,
yeah.
Shmurda. I dabbed him up, and I was like, yo, I work with the radio, dude. That was sick. And he goes, take my number. And he takes my phone out of my hand and puts his number in my phone. And I'm like, what other job could I have to where Bobby freaking Shmurda takes my phone out of my hand and puts his number in it? I'm like, whoa, that's wild. So
It's
that was just
super
like
sick.
funny, like just like, hey, Bobby, that was hilarious. He was super funny.
It's super cool, and while I could talk about this forever, I don't want to deter from you as like an actual artist because I come from metal and I am such a metalhead, and I was in a post-hardcore band before I jumped
Nice.
into EDM, and your voice is like the like soul of my childhood, is like Sleeping with Sirens, Woe's
Yes.
Me, I See Stars with
Yes.
over compression and saturation, and just like belted out into the sphere of dance music. And there's really no one that does what you do. And in my personal opinion, as somebody who's been in this, lane of music for like 6 or 7 years, I haven't seen anyone write like the records that you've written and
Well,
be
thank you.
an artist like collaborating with like everyone from like early Kayzo, Slander, throwback to like 2017 to like
Yeah.
just released on Monster Cat with my homie Paper Skies. You did some stuff with
Yes.
Seed. You just did some stuff with PhaseOne. And like what got you into like dance music? Like what made you make the switch? And I'm curious if our stories and thoughts align.
I'm sure it does because, of course, I come from a metalcore background as well. So it's actually kind of funny. So in the early days of LimeWire, I was downloading like Bass Hunter, like
Okay.
Dota, like all those old like early YouTube days, like of electronic music. Like I was the kid at the eighth grade dance begging the DJ to play Sandstorm by Darude. Like I liked electronic music, but I also like loved rock and roll. So I would always skateboard and dream of being in a band someday. And then I actually went to go see Attack Attack live in 2009.
Where?
Yeah.
Oh.
And
Yes.
that's what got me into honestly like the whole idea of like hearing dubstep drops with screams and breakdowns. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. And then I started really taking seriously like my band, and we would actually open up for like Of Mice and Men, Icy Stars, We Came as Romans, and like all those big metal bands that would come through Iowa. They would have us open up, and we do the 50 pre-sales. You're responsible for that money whether you sell the tickets or not. So it's just like sometimes, yeah, it's like, dude, sometimes you just get absolutely robbed by promoters, but it's like, dude, we wanted to open up for these bands so bad. So I would sometimes come out of pocket, or like the day of the show before people were getting in line, I'm like, yo, I'll sell you these $20 tickets for $10 right now, please. I don't want to die. Like, it, yeah, but it was fun, and that kind of like slowly, so what got me to be in a band was I heard auto tune with like screams. And so I was like, how the fuck did he do that? So I've looked it up on the way home after seeing them in 2009, and it was the Antares AVP vocal producer. It was like this rack gear that gave you full auto tune.
Mhm.
So I bought that, and it was like training wheels for my voice. So I was able to get the confidence to sing in front of people. So I was playing like these pop punk songs with full blown auto tune. And like people at venues would be like, hey, get in here. This guy sounds like T-Pain. Like no one was doing that. And yeah, and I didn't even know you got paid after shows. Like I would just leave early, and one venue's like, hey kid, you got a bunch of money back here. And I'm like, oh, like, I was just doing it because it was so much fun. And yeah, eventually like I started getting made fun of by all the metal bands in the scene. They're like, oh, you can't sing, you just
Not real music.
yeah, it's not real music. And then I ended up learning how to scream by making fun of the metal bands that were making fun of me. So then I actually developed this crazy rasp in my voice by making fun of the metal bands in my scene. So then eventually I learned how to scream and combined both of those. Someone remixed a Bring Me the Horizon cover I did on YouTube and made it EDM, and it got like 1 million views overnight. And that was in like 2015. And I was like, okay, that's when I was like, okay, let's kind of focus on this because this just hit. So then, yeah, I started going, I joined a group on Facebook called EDM Bedroom Producer. And I would go on there and I posted a video of me singing. And it was right at like 1 a.m. when I was going to bed. And that's when everyone in Europe was waking up. So when I posted the video, it blew up in the thing. Woke up the next morning to like 500 DMs and like 700 friend requests and just went down the line. And I was like, give me $200 like to every single person. And now I actually sold the rights to one of my biggest songs. It would have grossed over $100,000, but I sold my rights for $200 from that first batch. So you live and you learn.
I think we all live and we learn. Holy shit.
We learn too much sometimes.
we learn far too much. I mean, I think that's like the double-sided coin of literally what we do is it's so I've been talking to more industry people for this upcoming season of the podcast, and it's so difficult for us as creators to look at something that we've like poured our heart and soul into, and then you give us that opportunity, and the last thing we want to say in our mind and our heart is no because of business logistics. And I mean, same fucking shit. 14, 15, 16-year-old Lizzie was like opening for Black Veil Brides, doing Woe Is Me.
Yes.
And we would do the pay to play. And if we couldn't pay to play, I remember there were 5 people in the band at a time, then 3 people in the band at times. Yeah. And we would take the tickets and we would undersell them, or we would go to our parents and we would say, we'll do critters for free. We're gonna die.
We're gonna die
Wow,
if we don't sell these, please.
Never getting paid, never understanding anything. But I will say my understanding and the way that I approach merchandise is dedicated
to the metalcore scene.
To the metalcore scene. Literally to that.
Come hang out with us back by the merch booth. We want to meet every single one of you.
Absolutely. And we're gonna put 1 million t-shirts, and we're gonna put on 1 million different things, and we're gonna do it so fucking well. And like I think both of us, like when you're a part of another musical community, not only does it make you appreciate the electronic dance music culture, because I think there's so many things that I wish the metal rock culture had that dance music does not have, that dance music does have, as far as, you know, everything from your typical plur to the way that people want to see people rise together and they watch out for each other. I mean, I would used to watch people in mosh pits get thrown down at metal shows, and they were down and out. It was like figure it out kind of deal. But it's such aligning stories. And then so you made that switch over just because you started posting in forums, and God, that's
super
wild.
Strange. And a lot of the biggest collabs that I had came from that batch. Like one of the first like bigger artists I worked with was Brooks, and he's done songs with like Martin Garrix and everything. And then also Prototype was one of the first people to work with me. And those are just people from that group that were like, okay, this and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like I had a studio underneath in a basement of a printer factory in Iowa. And I'm just like with my boys writing rock songs, and then they would leave and I'd stay at the studio till like 3 a.m. writing electronic music, and then I'd wake up at 8 and go work as a plumber and do it all again. Like I had this crazy routine. Like I was balancing 3 lives as a blue collar American man, as a front man in a rock band, and then as a EDM top liner all at once. And it was crazy. Like that was definitely an experience. But yeah, I'm really happy with, you know, how things have gone. And, you know, it's funny that we talk about how like our roots come from metalcore and stuff. It did teach us a lot. Like it taught us a lot, and it taught us to be grateful, because there are there are a lot of artists that are in our electronic scene that have not paid their dues, in my own opinion, and they complain about things that I would be like, bro, I would give my left arm to have catering that wasn't Little Caesars, like or something like that, and it's just like they're complaining about the catering, and I'm just like, dude, it's free food. Like, sorry you don't like Brussels sprouts, like tighten up, you know. I don't know. It's there's you get a hotel room.
Grind,
Yeah.
run. And I totally agree with you. And I think that, I mean, we learn through experience, and experience gives us perspective. And what we saw at a very young age, thank God we aren't in a fucking band at 27. I'm 27, 28 years old. And you've got you're in a speeder van with a trailer that you're renting behind you that costs $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
And all of you combined, not putting in your front of house engineer, if you even can afford one, not putting in your merch seller, which usually you have to close the merch booth until you're done because you can't afford one. And you're driving from destination to destination, taking turns as band members to go and make the same thing that a DJ that just got off a plane goes to plug their USB in.
Yeah,
and has a hotel and ground and rider and per diem.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, dude, you've never split fries 5 ways at a Steak and Shake with fucking your hungry boys. Like,
God,
that,
so true. It's so true. And then, like, in your like early years in your journey, when you were still doing rock music, and then you were starting to do top liner stuff, as you started to work with like larger acts, which it seems like you rose with some of the biggest names at that time, were you approaching writing for electronic music differently, or were you writing for it just like you were writing for metal because those structures in the songs are so similar?
That's a good question. Honestly, I feel like I just approach it as I would any other, like a regular song. Because a lot of the times when I get a song, I will listen to like the first, honestly, like maybe 40 or 30 or 40 seconds of the song, and like vibe out, like suss out if I'm even going to work on it.
Mhm.
And then I stop listening to it, and I immediately figure out the key, BPM, throw it into a project file, and then start, like, I just attack it. And because you're never going to get that first listen back. So some of the melodies you come up with at the first take might be it. So I that's how I approach everything too. And I mean, honestly, when writing with rock music, my bandmates, we would jam a lot. So like we would watch a song organically form, and then I'd be saying some crazy shit, and they'd stop playing and be like, "What did you just say?" And I'd be like, "I don't know." And then we would be recording it, and we'd listen back and be like, "All right, boom, there's the hook." And so it's weird when I work EDM, I get a song that's already finished and it just needs the vocals. So I almost like writing rock music more from scratch with people you can jam with, because it's like really cool to watch it organically form. But I still approach it all the same way, just finding the coolest melodies that work with what it sounds like. So that's how I approach it.
I love that. And like, what makes you really commit to being on a song? Because I feel like, as I've talked to a ton of, I hate saying you guys are fucking liners because you're not. Literally, people wouldn't know the song. And I've talked about this so much, but as like an artist, especially in the electronic music scene, I've seen a lot of vocalists and writers come in and they kind of say like yes to everything. And then they look back and they're like, wow, I really wish I didn't say yes to everything. Do you go through that period to like establish your discography and do a little bit of everything? Or are you like, I'm in it or I'm not in it, and this is how it's going to go?
I mean, sometimes there's been collaborations where like almost you get the winds taken out of your sails a little bit, because it's like there's a lot of creative clash, and you're on revision number 26, and you start losing, like, your love almost for the track. It goes from being like your favorite son to like your adopted, twice removed aunt's you don't even recognize your son anymore. Like, it's just like,
I don't
yeah,
know you.
I don't know you. You're a monstrosity. You're Revision 27. Yeah, I don't know. I approach, honestly, it's the song's got to be cool. A, B, I have found that especially this year I've been a lot more picky with who I work with and what I put out. I'm actually starting to go towards live music again. I feel like the pendulum swings the other way now, and I'm working with a lot of cool artists that are writing some big like rock open-ended EDM songs that can be remixed, and I'm really excited for that. So yeah, that's honestly what I'm looking forward to releasing next is my live stuff.
That's so exciting. And I feel like you slowly, I mean, I remember you said you did like a Bring Me the Horizon cover, which is like what garnered a lot of your first like interest and people be like, oh, who the fuck is that? I remember listening to Big Chocolate's remix for Bring Me the Horizon song when I was like a freshman in high school, like pulling into the lot in my friend's car and it being crazy. And I always thought because of like I remember seeing Corn and Excision and Skrillex were on the Corn tour, and I was also in high school then, and I drove, like, all the way I drove, like, 5 or 6 hours to see that. There's always been these 2 Venn diagrams in which these, like, lanes have existed, and they've had this little crossover, and I always felt like they would eventually hit a T, and I feel like we are so there, like, whether it's acts
Yeah.
like PhaseOne or it's acts like Volumes or Born of Osiris putting all of these electronic like elements in their shit. Like we are so there. And now more than ever, like me, myself is coming from like live instrumentation and like being a vocalist. If you are a producer or a DJ and you have a live element, you better be fucking using it. Like
Yeah.
I solely believe in that. And like, do you do DJ sets at all? Like, do
I
you
actually just learned how to DJ, so
Okay,
I've
okay.
been hacking away at this bad boy right here.
Oh, yeah.
I've been learning the basics, and I'm actually having a lot of fun. And like I said, along with the radio job, DJing actually makes me listen to music more. So I'm like constantly crate digging and trying to find awesome songs that work in the key of my songs. And honestly, I have so many songs I could do like my set of just pure my music alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
But kind of what I'm doing right now is, maybe 15 to 10 to 15 like songs I'll sing on. And then the rest are just bangers of the homies that are in the same key and I'm working them in. So that's kind of like my live set right now. A lot of dubstep and a lot of drum and bass.
Oh, yeah, that's so exciting because I just feel like we're in a time where I'm like DJing and putting together sets is quite difficult. It is a craft and it's a very well respected craft in my own opinion. But if you can count to 4, you can DJ. If you are a musician in any way, shape, or form, you can so DJ. It's just about, crate digging and making your set what you want it to be. And a lot of DJs, you're from LA, right?
I'm from Iowa, but
Iowa.
I live in LA
You
now.
live in
Yeah.
LA. Yes, I should have phrase that differently, but you reside in LA now. You see like a lot of people start their journeys differently, but most people when they start to DJ, they don't have any music. Like you're either a producer that turns into a DJ or you're a
Mhm.
DJ that turns into a producer. And usually that's like a huge pendulum that usually swings way more the other way than the artist to DJ pipeline. And I feel like you have such like a cool discography of songs that actually people also know. I've definitely felt that lately. And I've talked to a lot of artists as well that like really came out of the pandemic and have kind of kept it going or have gone through like certain eras where they have so much music, but it's hard when people don't like know that music yet. Like, they don't know the
Yeah.
lyrics yet. So you're performing it and you're like so hyped on it and it's such an exciting thing, but it's not like, you know, headbangers, let's break your fucking neck, and everybody fucking knows that phrase. How have
Yeah.
you like kind of gone through pairing songs or even performing songs that you're like, this isn't even out yet and we're just getting content for the actual release? Like, do you just get in your mode before you take the stage? Or like, how do you approach being in front of a really large crowd that may not know this record?
I'm just getting them ready for the experience because I've done a lot of like premieres and stuff on stage where no one's gonna know the lyrics at all,
Yeah.
but I'm just gonna go up there, scream it at the top of my lungs, and get them as hyped as I possibly can because I'm only up there for like a minute and a half, if that, So it's like I'm using that opportunity to like for someone in the crowd to be like, "Yo, what the fuck was that?" Like, what I got to make a note. Whatever song that was, look forward to that, and I'll say, "Hey, this one's coming out next week," and then actually that's exactly what happened with I at Starbase. I sang my new song Divide with PhaseOne, and I was like, "This is my new song with intervals and PhaseOne." And some kid came up to me from the crowd, like, "Yo, did you say that song is with intervals?" I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "That's like my favorite band," and I'm just like, "Sick, dude." And he goes, "I'll definitely like pre-saving that." I was like, that was the first time I've had a human in the wild go, "I'm going to pre-save your song." I'm always screaming at everyone to do it. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, out the turntables. Like,
Oh man, literally,
yeah.
the whole pre-save thing is it's so hard because you don't want to like shove it down people's throats, but then you also want to go, this is really important. And if you
Yeah.
care, it's so important. As like, yeah, I always forget too, where it's like when you're making an appearance during a set, you literally have that 60 to 90 seconds to make that impression and just give your all energy. I feel like your online like web footprint is so front man, lead singer,
Yeah.
hype
Yeah.
beast dude.
Yeah.
And it definitely translates to on stage, like and in your music. And like as you've kind of had a journey now in electronic music and you've had records that have exploded and then you had records that I'm sure are like passion projects and stuff for you and you're starting to combine the hybrid rock, EDM, metal sphere underneath your vocals. What are like some challenges that you have encountered over the years where maybe you've had to put your foot down or you've had to walk away from projects that were, special to you and then you ended up hating, like you said before?
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, I've definitely had that experience. I've definitely been wronged in many ways in this industry. And, you know, you have to have like almost a calloused heart to be like, okay, you got to learn lessons multiple times. You got to realize some people aren't here to be your friend. They're here to get something out of you. And it's a tough lesson to learn, but yeah, I've experienced a lot of, you know, people not paying me, lots of yeah, just lots of people, being rude and mean. Um, when all I've ever done is just try to, just spread love and be nice and write music for people. So, yeah, I've had to put my foot down. I've had to um, close bridges and just understand that maybe I'm never going to see that money and just move on. And but that's the beauty of music is you can just go write another song. Go write another song. Don't dwell on the past, no matter how bad it was. Just keep going because one of my favorite sayings in this industry is be careful the toes you step on today. They might be connected to the asshole you have to kiss tomorrow. So I really love living by that. And I love having, instead of vendettas, my actions speak louder than, you know, suing someone for not paying me.
Yeah, I mean, I totally it's always good to have somebody owe you. I've
Yeah.
been very
Yeah.
much so told that, and I've seen it from firsthand experience, like, oh, like the "we owe you" email or like the "we're gonna get you next time." I'm like, I'm not gonna forget about that. And 9 times out of 10, it comes full circle. And yeah, I again from like a vocalist standpoint, and you write the majority of your songs too,
Yeah.
right? Or
I'd
okay.
say 99.9% of everything I've written has been from me.
That's also
Yeah.
so unique in electronic music. There are usually a room full of writers, and the vocalist may or may not have a say in it, but they want that vocalist to sound like the pop princess
Yeah.
and then it just kind of goes from there. And I also think that's why you are looked like I try and put two and two together because I'm like, is it a female thing? Is it who he is as an artist and how he's established himself? I have never looked at you like a top liner. Like I've always looked at you like an artist. And
Thank
I
you.
feel like artists, like producers, DJs, whatever that you've worked with in our scene also have hopefully treated you that way, or at least it looks that way from the outside. Like I feel like all the people you work with now see and like hold your value of what you are, you know, giving to the record and how important it is. And I just also talk to a lot of people within my community where they're not able to get that same respect and feeling back. And I try and figure out why, because I'm not put in that position, but maybe you have thoughts.
I feel like at an early stage in my career, coming from the metalcore scene and finally getting my foot in this big of a door, I attacked at it. Like I was like, yo, I was sending those texts. Yo, can I come to the festival and sing the song? Can I come to the festival and sing the song? Can I come perform at this show that's 3 hours away from me in Iowa, but I'll drive to Omaha, Nebraska. I'll drive to Chicago. Like I'll go out there just for the ticket, just for the artist pass, and then go sing 30 seconds of my new song and then come out. I was like, to have that audience and opportunity, I really at a young age like just was always putting myself there as a performer, because what DJ doesn't want a live aspect to their show? So it's like, I feel like I really, really struck while the iron was hot in the early days, trying to really put myself in my face in front of that crowd as much as possible. And I really, the only regret, I wish I DJ'd a lot earlier. Because I was just like, I'm just going to focus on writing music. I don't got to learn all these buttons, but it's just like, dude, I should have locked in and just and really picked up the DJ thing early. And I think maybe I could have been further along in my career as an artist. But for you to say that you see me as an artist, that makes me feel a lot. So thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people like think the same way. I don't know. I just get like from like my standpoint and from a lot of other total closeted producers, I just like wouldn't fuck with you. Like you're like I feel like you are just a very like confident in your own right. And when you're kind of like going about things, I know artists, you've established relationships with a lot of the artists that you write with, you've done multiple records with. It's kind of like a director working with like their favorite actors, and like they kind of go back or whatever, so on and so forth. When you are like when you are reaching out to begin with, I know vocalists and artists like yourself work a lot of different ways. Would you write demos and then say like, hey, I have a folder of 20 top lines, 20 demos that you can kind of sift through and see if anything inspires you? Or would you kind of wait to hear something or really go after an artist that you wanted to work with?
Honestly, it was like a weird, I didn't know what I was doing. Like I said, I had no management. I was just like, hey, like I was just sending crazy DMs to people like, hey, here's my voice. Check out my voice. Like, and I didn't really have top lines available. Like people were like, oh, you sound good. I'm like, yeah, do you have something? Send it my way. I want to record, and a lot of my early top lines were like recorded to their instrumental. So
Okay, I'm sick.
yeah, so that was a lot of the early days, but then like the more I started working, I started getting a lot of rejections because I was responding to all those messages. So I would have rejected top lines that I thought were good. And yeah, like even, like Feel the Power with Kayzo, that was a rejected top line that ended up becoming what it was. So this just, one man's trash is another man's treasure almost, when you're doing top lines. I keep all of them because you never know what's going to hit. And, one person might not like it, but someone else, it might be perfect in the same key and BPM that they're looking for.
Absolutely. And I feel like, is there any like records that you were personally, I think as an artist, you always are really biased to certain ones that you're like, this is like the bee's knees, like this is the fucking one. and then maybe it doesn't do so well. And then you have other ones that you're not a huge fan of that just skyrocket. Has that
Yeah.
happened to you?
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely experienced that. There's been songs where, I'm like, I can't believe it hasn't hit a million plays in the first week. But, I'm thankful for the streams that I do get, and I love every single one of them. And I'm happy to really to watch these songs grow in the way they have. And, you know, I think that the songs that you least expect, and sometimes you put the least amount of like thought into or work, end up becoming the biggest ones sometimes. Like, yeah, and I am not saying you don't put thought into something, but like a lot of the times the songs that were the easiest to work on are the songs that are streaming better on my Spotify.
Yeah, it's kind of like if it like flows naturally,
Yeah.
happens. I 100%, whether it's an artist or a vocalist or a producer, we all have those projects that we keep going back to try and make work, quote unquote. And sometimes you're just like beating a dead horse. And I also have ones that I've literally finished in a day and then I've just had to go back and mix and master it. And I'm like, well, this may be fucking terrible. And usually when it flows that easy, it's just done.
Yeah, it's the flow state. That's a perfect example of just the flow state being perfect. And yeah, a lot of the biggest songs that I wrote for like either like Zomboy or PhaseOne, or a lot of those songs were vocals I did in like 45 minutes to an hour just to get like the top line, just like the main vocal done. And I'll send it to them and they'll be like, yo, yeah, keep going. And I'm like, cool, awesome. And it's like, it feels good too, because it's like while you're working on something and it gets approved like in pieces, when you're like, hey, how does this sound? You're putting feelers out and they're like, and they love it. And you keep going and then you finish it and there's no revisions. That's a beautiful day at the beach.
Yeah, 100%. What's your typical top line turnaround time?
Typical. Honestly, I can get stuff done in a day if it, like I've had a lot of artists hit me up urgently like, hey, this song needs to be submitted by tomorrow morning, can you write it this whole? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you're gonna have to pay for that, but I'm gonna fucking do it. Like,
That's a rush fee. Thank you
yeah,
very
yeah.
much.
But and I've done favors for people too, like that. And like it's a cool skill to have, and it's cool to be called. It's almost like my buddy's dad's a brain surgeon and he's always on call. And I feel like that's kind of what it feels like to just be like, yo, we need you to operate on this song. It's barely live.
It's a life-saving
Yeah.
emergency. Micah Martin is the brain surgeon of electronic dance music.
Top lines. It's just like, all right, I need 12 cc's of lyrics stat.
Holy shit. No, it's a perfect analogy. I mean, I think that it's also just like being able to have the skill set to work under the deadline, which takes a lot of years to like get under your belt. And I think like a lot of people, myself included, have this whole overthinking deal when it comes to artists, especially as producers. If you're like ADD, cracked out squirrel mode, like I am like such a perfectionist and I feel like everything has to be perfect. I feel like you are kind of a go with the flow. I'm just gonna fucking run it type of guy. Do
Yeah.
you feel like that's accurate, or are you very like this has to be pristine?
I feel like I am, in a sense, but that mentality has gotten me in trouble before. So it's like, I try, especially now at this point in my career, I'm trying to be really, really selective on what I work on, because I'm really going to be pushing my solo project, which I got a EP I'm working on. So I'm really going to be pushing that, as so not as much main artist releases, so a lot of feature stuff. But yeah, really going to be taking myself seriously as an artist, with be doing my DJ sets and eventually going to be able to do a live show with some of my old bandmates back in Iowa. Get the boys out here and start hitting the road. Like I think that would be funny to like eventually have a Micah Martin live set where I have my old bandmates and it's a hybrid EDM rock show, and that would be awesome. Full circle, we could go sleep in Walmart parking lots again.
Sounds perfect. Sometimes it's like you just want to go back to simpler times. You're like, honestly, I'd take it. I'd take the McDonald's. I'd take the sleeping in the parking lot. And it's crazy because I don't think you said if I started DJing earlier, I think my career would be further along. I don't know if I agree with you because I think that you've put all of the important parts into place to be able to take something that is one of the easier parts and like inject it into your project to where you can pull back and go, okay, this is me. Because the goal is that you can have a live show at a live venue at an 8 o'clock showtime, and then you can go play a DJ set after. And you had Jalen come to both, and then you have the live shit with your band or the live shit with you DJing as support for a bigger tour, and then you go do the 360 in the round, I'm not singing at all, dubstep metal set, and if they're really hyped, then you sing one song and that's it. And then all of a sudden you get to like do 2 shows in one night, and they're all artists that do this and do it really well, but most of the time people just don't have the skill set to do it, which like you have the skill set to do it, and you have the like network to do it, So I think that's what's on the horizon for your project is like full on.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Really exciting. Yeah. No, I've always like seen you from a distance, and I know I've like seen you at festivals before, and I'm usually like, I know him. I'm not gonna say anything, but like we'll eventually meet. And then when the shit happened with Insomniac, I was like, okay, this is like a good time to actually have a conversation. Yeah. And I think that I don't know, talk about LA for a little bit, because I've always had a keen place to understand the perspective of how people view Los Angeles and what it can and cannot do for your career in dance music or just in entertainment in general.
Well, I mean, I tell you what, GTA 6 took so long to come out. I just decided to move out here. That was honestly the craziest thing I've ever done. Within a week of being here, I almost got like carjacked and by the wobbly tire bandits, I'll call them. They're a group of, it was like a group of 5 of them in a black Silverado. And I just got done having like a brunch meeting with some management company. I'm listening to my own song that I just finished last night. I'm cruising, about to go through the canyon. And then all of a sudden, this car pulls up next to me, and this guy is like holding his business card. He's like, your tire's wobbling, pull over. And I'm like, oh, I just got my shit aligned. Like, thank you. So I pull over. Fucking 5 of them hop out. 2 of them's going underneath my car. One's got a car jack, and car's starting to like lift up, and they're like, turn your tire this way. And I'm just like, whoa, what's going on here? So I get out of the car, and they're like, yeah, your shit's cracked. Like, usually this takes like $6,000 to fix it, but I'll do it for $500 right now. I got the parts. And I'm like, what's cracked? And he's like taking a picture of my tire. And I'm like, okay, something's fishy here. Like my spidey senses are tingling. And I was like, hey guys, I really appreciate what you're doing, but I got a meeting I got to get to. I don't want what's going on to happen. And the dude puts down the car jack, and he stands up. He's like only this like tall to me. He's like, you're not going to make it where you're going. And I'm like, oh, that's a bold new flavor I've never tasted. So I go, sir, I was like, I think I can risk it. And then the other guy goes, I tell you what, we'll follow you where you're going and we'll fix it there. And I go, perfect. As long as I can get back in my freaking vehicle. So I got back in my car, and I'm driving, and they're on my ass. And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, I don't feel my car vibrating. So I take out my phone, I hit the 0.5, and I start recording my tire. They see me doing this, so they pull up alongside of me, and they're like, hey, it's about to go. I'm like, uh-huh. I look at my phone, the tire's not wobbling. I would feel that. So then I Googled, Wobbly Tire, Los Angeles. And the number one thing that came up is says, never pull over for these people. This is a scam. They target people with out of state plates and they and they end up doing more damage to your car. And if you don't pay them, they rob you. And I'm reading this at a red light at the top of the canyon, and GTA 6 like comes over me. I blow the red light. They blow the red with me. And now I'm in a high speed chase on the canyon with these guys on my tail. And I'm like flying, going like this was I should not have done this. And I'm flying. And there's a motorcyclist just cruising the canyon. And I had to cut between a motorcyclist and one of those like Hollywood tour vans that have like the double decker. I blew it on the dotted line between both of them, zoomed off. I can hear people screaming because my windows were down. I can hear people screaming on the tour bus. That allowed me to get like 5-6 seconds head start from them because it caused like a jam. And they're like, everyone was honking. I get it. I got about a 6-second head start, found a gravel driveway, threw it in reverse, got into my car. I opened the trunk. I had a baseball bat in there. I'm like, if they got guns, this sucks. I have a baseball bat. It's not going to be a even fight. I see the truck just like go by kind of slow, like they were looking for me, and they literally drove off into the right. I waited like 10 seconds and then I pulled out and went back home. I didn't leave the house for like 3 days, but that's LA. Like
Welcome to LA.
That's literally
Shit.
like I've gotten my stuff stolen, but I had an air tag in my stuff, so I was actively finding the thief at a mall. Like it's always put air tags on your things if you're
Air
out here.
tags are a godsend. If you are traveling as a DJ or as a performer and you don't have air tags in your shit, we've got a bigger conversation to have.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit.
But other than that, like it's nice networking out here, and it's nice being able to go to all the shows that all your homies are coming out here from different parts of the country, and everyone loves playing LA, and everyone coming out and having a good time, and making friends and meeting internet people is always crazy. You're just out here, you're like, oh, I know you from the internet people. Yeah. But it's fun. I like it, and a lot more to do than in Iowa. Oh
Yeah, that is about the most radical change of environment and scenery that
easily.
When did you move to LA? How old were you?
It was last year, a year and a half ago.
Year and a half ago. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Been there for that long.
No, yeah.
Actively working in dance music for.
I lost you there on the last bit of that.
Oh,
I think
sorry.
We're
good. I was just saying that you've actively worked in dance music for a really long time while living in Iowa.
Yeah, so I'd say, I started really doing dance music in 10 years. Yeah, 10 years in dance music, from like doing top lines and stuff. And then officially making the move out here last year or the year and a half ago was pretty, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I made that jump and was able to really come pursue my dreams, and being given opportunities like, working for Insomniac and doing the radio, like things I probably wouldn't have got living in Iowa,
Totally get that. I definitely feel like you made the move. I think a lot of people think that move is correct before they've laid like a foundation in their project. And we've all heard it, like whether it was Ghastly's story or somebody else's story, they kind of come out here and they get really wrapped up in partying and, the networking and the da-da-da, and then the days go by and then the years go by and they haven't been able to put their head down and work. So I feel like being out there once you've already established like the foundation of what you want to do, or just going out there and being really, really diligent, and you have to be really like hold yourself super self-accountable and show up to work for yourself every day, you can get really lost.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You could definitely get lost out here, lost in the sauce for sure. I mean, I've seen LA break a lot of people. I've seen in my just short time I've been here in a year and a half, I've seen a lot of friends come and go, and people like wash out, go to different parts of their lives where I'm probably never going to see them again, and it's just like it can be brutal out here, but as long as you keep yourself surrounded by, like-minded individuals who are always trying to further themselves and just not being the smartest person in the room all the time, be the dumbest person in the room for a while. I
I
like it.
definitely agree with that. That's the only way that you keep learning. That's why like it's hard because I don't live in LA. I live in Denver, also super industry injected place.
Yes.
And whenever I get times like EDC or even like in certain podcasts and like we talk, I'm like I just learn so much. I feel like it's really easy to get wrapped up in just doing the same shit every day and forgetting that like getting out and showing your face and like when you've been putting the work in, it helps so much. When you haven't been putting the work in, you're going to party. When you have been putting the work in and you have all of these new kind of like accolades and accomplishments, showing up and like actually picking people's brains and like how many artists that are actually willing to say, I would love to, shed my insight or I would love to give you feedback. It's always a good thing to ask and be around people that are better than you. That's the
Yeah. Iron sharpens iron for sure. So
Yes. Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. Okay, before I let you go, we talked about kind of what the future holds, which is really exciting. You're going to start kind of in the next year pulling back from some of the feature stuff and only doing stuff that like is really kind of big record shit and focusing on your artist, very, very solo artist career, which is very exciting. And I'm super pumped to see that. Is there any other stuff you want to kind of leave with us that we should be keeping an eye out for?
just yeah, keep your eyes peeled for a lot of like you said, a lot of live music that I'm going to be releasing on my Micah Martin project. It's just going to be like kind of like that metalcore vibes coming back.
Oh yeah.
It's nostalgia. It's like nostalgia core, metalcore, and yeah, got some songs that are more electronic leaning, and then some more just like standard pop punk vibes. So yeah, I got that to look forward to. My live show, my DJ sets. I just actually got one of my first offers as a DJ for a big show out here in Los Angeles. I can't say yet, but I got the offer. I'm really excited for that. Yeah, got a bunch of new music. Got a new one with Odd Kid Out coming soon. Yeah, got a just like lots of stuff just constantly working. So just keep your eyes peeled on my artist page on Spotify and or whatever wherever you listen to music because I'm always releasing stuff.
Love it. And for Impact, your show, tell us about your show real quick.
Yes, I am on Impact on Insomniac Radio from noon to 1. That is Monday through Friday, and then Sundays at 4 p.m.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. All the dubstep things and banger alerts. And yeah, I enjoy listening to your show. Everybody's show has a different kind of killer vibe to it on Impact. I haven't listened to a ton of the other stations, but because I like the music that's on Impact, so I'm listening.
Yeah, I know.
So it's very cool and it was awesome to meet the hosts in Vegas this past weekend. I couldn't meet everybody, but I met as many people as possible and there's a fuck ton of us, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see how it grows and I'm excited to see hopefully more of you in the next year and I appreciate you coming on the podcast today.
Yeah, thank you, Lizzie Jane. I appreciate you so much, and I'm so glad that we are coworkers now.
Coworkers.
It's awesome.
In an industry where most people never work alongside each other, we are officially coworkers.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me, Lizzie.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a good weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Talk to you soon.